Welcome viewers. There is a famous quote of Oscar Wilde, "No man is rich enough to buy his past." And of course, youth comes only once in life. So we have invited today three members of our youth community. So welcome three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Excellent. So first of all, beginning from Shayla, Justin and then Edel, I'll begin with Shayla. Please tell us briefly about yourself. What did you enjoy growing up in Fort St. John?
Well, I enjoyed the outdoors very much when I grew up here in Fort St. John. We had lots of opportunities to be outdoors, doing different activities, whether it was quadding, we got to do hunting as a family, and all sorts of sports. And I think that's something you don't get anywhere else in the world, is the outdoors, the sunset, the sunrises, the hiking.
Great. And what are your career aspirations?
I'm looking forward to being a lawyer. I'm starting with political science, journalism, and history, and then I'll hopefully go into paralegal, then law school.
Excellent. You are also winner of City of Fort St. John Youth Award.
Yes.
So what community service roles have you performed?
I was the Youth Advisory Council chair for 4 years, I believe. And I also did many things within the school with their leadership groups throughout my experience since elementary school.
Very good.
Yes.
And what are your activities nowadays?
Nowadays, I volunteer my time at my university doing the vaccination ambassadors. So we go through and make an inclusive environment for the students. And throughout that, I also get to work with the sports clubs. I do the broadcasting for the University of Victoria Vikes hockey team.
Excellent.
So I get to travel with them and learn a little bit more about our school.
Sounds very interesting. And I'll talk to Justin also. Justin, please tell us, you're also a former co-chair of Youth Advisory Committee Council. And how was your experience?
It was a very positive experience. I thought it was a really great way to get youth involved, and we planned a lot of really great, safe events for youth to go to, and they get to participate with their friends, and I think creating that positive environment was really awesome for our community.
And what were some of your best experiences?
I think some of my best experiences were when I get to go to the meetings and I get to interact with these really brilliant, really bright young individuals, and it makes me really smile just to know that we have that in our community.
Very good. And what are you studying nowadays?
I'm taking general science at the University of Alberta.
And how do you intend to serve the community?
With my degree?
Yeah.
I'm actually uncertain of where I want to go right now with my degree. I'm just taking a whole bunch of general courses. I'm not really sure what I like or what I dislike at this point. It's only been my first year, so I'm really hoping that I'll figure it out soon, but whatever it is, I'm sure that I will come back and try to apply it to our community.
Excellent. And I'm sure one option could be studying science and becoming a physician. It opens so many doors. If that is something, the community has shortage of doctors, and science is again itself a big field, so vast, and from the astronauts till so many people serving deep in the ocean, there are so many things, and it's exciting. Very good. What do you believe are some of the problems faced by our community youth?
I was a youth. I still am actually, and what I've noticed is that in our community there isn't as many places for like a safe hangout place for kids as I would like in the community. I know that myself and all my friends, when we talk in a group, we're like, oh, what are we going to do today? And there's always that typical ideas. You go to the walking track. When it's winter, you go to skating oval, you go to swimming pool. But that's really it. You can only go to the movies like once a week. And a lot of the activities we have, there isn't enough for youth to do in a safe environment. So I think that's one issue our community faces.
Thank you. And what are the things you have enjoyed while being in Fort St. John?
I really enjoy Fort St. John's opportunities. In a larger center, it's very competitive, and it's even hard to get accepted to volunteer places. My favorite part about Fort St. John is I get to do anything if I try hard enough, and I think that's what's incredible about our little community.
Excellent. And what do you think could be done better for the youth of our community?
I think that what would be great for youth is if we were able to communicate with them better, to let them know about events that we have for youth, and let them know that we're working to try to make more safe, inclusive environments for youth in our community. Because I know that we've organized a lot of events and stuff, but a lot of times we fall short in not the event quality, but getting people to come to the event. And a lot of the times, that's just from lack of communication.
Thank you, good points. And coming to you, Edel. So please tell us, what has been your involvement in our community?
Well, I started getting involved in the community when I actually came to Fort St. John back in 2012 of February. It was actually my first winter and it was really scary, but a lot of people at the school district, such as especially with settlement workers in schools, helped me with that transition, and that kind of inspired me to as well to give back and be a part of their own efforts in helping other people, especially immigrants and refugees, in helping them with transitioning with the Canadian life here in especially in Fort St. John. Yeah.
Good. And what have been your activities recently?
Yeah, well, recently, I've been involved with settlement workers in schools as a kind of a summer student, and I've been doing that for 2 years consecutively, and I have also been involved before that as kind of a mini assistant. Yeah, so I've worked with organizing World Fair. I have also helped in delivering leadership and training workshops.
Excellent.
And yeah, so I've also visited schools as well, and we have a variety of students here in Fort St. John from different places, and it's really interesting to hear their own individual stories of where they come from and how they found the city to be very welcoming and very such a great place to thrive in.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
And diversity is the strength of our community.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you said leadership. So what does leadership mean to you?
To me, leadership is thinking about how you can make positive change in the community as a whole, and it doesn't have to be a really big show of action. It can be like small things like respecting other people or helping out someone who needs some help and things like that. That it doesn't have to be such a grand show of leadership. It can be small things, small daily things.
Which make a difference. Let me ask Justin and Shayla too. Justin, what's your opinion, your perception of leadership?
I think Edel worded it extremely nicely. Being a leader doesn't mean that you're always taking charge and you're doing all the incredible things. Being a leader is also doing the small things and being able to just be a good person all the time. I think that's really important, that we can't always be in the leader of a leadership role, but we can all be leaders by being able to do the small things.
Awesome, excellent. What's your opinion?
I think for me, being a leader is helping other people grow and have the chance to thrive in the same way of making yourself a bit of a better person and being able to thrive on your own. So it's kind of growing off of each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Very good. And let me ask three of you one by one your favorite quotes. So let me begin with Edel. What's your favorite quote, and if you like to explain why?
Yes, my favorite quote is from Dr. Seuss, and that is, "A person's a person, no matter how small." And I chose that quote because, aside from all other quotes that are so amazing, I remember when I moved to university, and I was very nervous, just because I was always coming to Canada was also equally nerve-wracking, but at the same time, I met a lot of people who were my support, and then when I went to university, the theme for our floor where our dorms were was all Dr. Seuss, and it was amazing. There were truffle trees everywhere and a lot of Dr. Seuss quotes, and it was just a Dr. Seuss land, like Seuss Wonderland, and I loved it. And one of the quotes there was, "A person's a person, no matter how small," and that just resounded to me really well, and
Great.
yeah, it just became my motto for every day whenever I feel like I feel too weak to do anything or I feel incapable in that, and I always look up to that.
Absolutely. This is very good. All human beings, every person values as a member of the community, as a member of the global community. Justin, what's your favorite quote?
One of my favorite quotes is, "Success isn't measured by how many times you succeed the first time, but success is measured by getting knocked down 9 times but rising 10."
Wow.
I really like that one because a lot of the times we're not going to succeed right away, and a lot of the times we are going to fail. But what's really important is if we keep on going and we keep on trying to like keep doing it and we keep persevering, is that eventually we will succeed, and that is how we can measure success.
Very good. Growing up in 1980s, 90s, you know, I heard it in a different way from the Rocky movie. Let's have one more round. You're absolutely right. We have to do our best, try again, and being persistent, consistent, going towards good goals. Very good. What's your favorite quote?
So my favorite quote is, say what you mean what you say, and do what you said you do. So when I was younger, I went to British Columbia Youth Parliament, which is where I actually learned how much I cared about the law and parliamentary procedure. And I think it's important because you make a promise with your words, and it means something when you say something. So you need to back that up and be there. And basically, if you make a promise, you need to keep it. And I think that's a big thing about being a leader as well.
Excellent. Very good points. And now let's ask about your favorite books. So again, Edel, what's your favorite book and why?
So I was studying, or I still am studying English language arts currently in university, and I'm kind of reading my books because they are kind of expensive and they're worth a read as well. One of the books that I loved rereading is Stephen Leacock's Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town, and it talks about Mariposa, which is this tiny town, and you kind of recognize who's popular in this town or who the little cliques that around. So it kind of reminds me of Fort St. John a little bit, and also Canada as a whole. I feel like as an immigrant to Canada, I feel like Canada is such a big piece of land with tiny towns that everyone decides to come together and be with and kind of thrive and make a community. And that kind of always helps me to think about Fort St. John again whenever I'm in Edmonton in University of Alberta, and think about the other people and how kind of study how they become a community as a whole as well.
Excellent. Coming together, supporting each other, that's the best thing we have in our community. Very good. And what's your favorite book?
My favorite book, I would have to say, is Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. I absolutely adore that book. I read it for my valedictorian speech, and what makes me really drawn to this book is I think it's really something everyone can relate to because it's about your journey through life, and Dr. Seuss, how he puts the words and how he like explains what's going on for the character in the book it's something we can kind of all relate to because it's someone who starts off and they feel very confident and things are going well, but then he catches a snag along the way, and then he kind of loses himself and has to go through all these difficulties and has to go through all these struggles, but eventually, since he kept on going, he managed to find his way back out and get back to that successful place. And I think that can be related to almost anything we do. Like, I felt extremely confident leaving high school, but my first year at university, I wasn't so confident. Like, I didn't feel like it was very challenging. It was hard being away from home, but as I kept going for university, and I was tempted to quit, but I kept on going, it got better, and I like to think that all of our problems are kind of like that. We're always going to start off confident, and things are going to get in the way, and we should expect that, and as long as we keep on going, we should thrive with that. We should keep going because we learn lessons through that. And I think the biggest thing I took away from that book is two reasons. When I first read it, I was really small and I stopped halfway through because it was a very big book for someone that age. And the second thing is, like that, you just have to keep going. So you have to finish the book and you have to finish your whatever goal you set your mind to. And in the end, you're going to be successful if you keep on going.
Excellent. This is a very powerful message, as you have transitioned from school to college, university. So hopefully good days are coming and life becomes easy and comfortable. What's your favorite book, please?
I actually prefer Shakespeare, and I really enjoy reading all the plays he had written in his early stages. And I think one of my favorites would probably be A Midsummer Night's Dream, because even though everyone thinks it's a romance, and it's a comedy in all forms, and you get to take a minute and look at all the little jokes he puts in the book, and you get to laugh to yourself because it takes forever for someone to understand those little jokes. And I think it's always a great read to have some kind of English literature, especially from plays and through poetry, because it gives us another art form.
Very good. And this is again the creativity which comes from all these classic readings. It goes all the way in real life, as you can see. And if I ask you in general now, what do you think are the few problems which youth are facing, not only in our community but across the globe? Like a number of things they've come under discussion. Books have become expensive. Life has become mechanized, a bit globalized, a bit. There are so many things. So what are 2-3 general problems which the youth face, and then how could we probably talk about some solutions? We'll go to that. So first of all, what are the problems? And anyone can jump into the discussion here.
I personally think the biggest one that I'm facing in the world around my friends and going out to university is we're becoming adults and we are forming important opinions. And some people are having issues with the difference between freedom of speech and hate speech. And I think that's coming into play in all our communities. And the difference between hate speech and freedom of speech is hurting people's feelings and being aggressive and offensive. And at this point in university, we're taught to question everything, to think outside the box, to consider everything else in the world. And I don't think we get the opportunity to do that in freedom of speech.
Good points. And since you are studying law, as you go into the details, so well, there is freedom of expression, there is freedom of speech, but again, one has to be careful to avoid any defamation, any slander, and all these type of things. Good points. And what's your opinion?
Right. So one problem, or I wouldn't say problem, is just I would consider a misunderstanding, is with our youths, is most people kind of want to restrict most of our youths from being very creative and very dynamic with their thoughts and dreams. I feel like we, not just our community, but the whole world should allow enabling our youth to be more free with their own. And this is, I don't know if this is against Shayla's, but kind of having them have their dreams run wild and go crazy and help them figure out what they really want in life, because they're kind of, I say around that age, we're kind of, no one gets a rule book on how to be an adult. So everyone is kind of winging it along the way, but there's also some people who kind of provide guidance, but while with that desire to provide guidance, some of us tend to go too much so that we don't leave our youth any options left. And yeah, so that's what I feel is we need to provide youth to be able to to express themselves freely.
Good. And sometimes the parents, they put some restrictions, so indirectly, should parents do better here?
I think that is 100% something that starts at home. You need to be able to encourage your children to follow their dreams and to let them fall. If that means falling on their face and starting over again, that's all right. Because if we do not make the mistakes now, we will never learn and we'll never grow, and we won't be able to have that adult life we hope for.
Excellent points. So if we think from the perspective of freedom, so probably, in the 21st century, it's not the sky which is the limit, but probably space doesn't even have limits. The universe is so vast when it comes to scientific calculations, freedom of expression, thinking, universalism, globalism, and 3D thinking. There are so many new avenues which come from universe, new discoveries, going as vast as different parts of the universe and coming to the new innovation we find in cell. So from very small points, micro level till bigger picture, macro level, and all these a world without boundaries where people can have knowledge could be exchanged freely, and people could have probably a world without any walls and these type of things. Good points. Anything you like to add here, just in your perspective?
A big issue that I think that youth and everyone in our society faces is the feeling of being important, or the feeling of self-worth. While we have like the internet and TV, and that's fantastic, it also allows you to see everything everyone else has done, and everyone online will only post the greatest moments, the best moments. And so as a youth who hasn't quite developed that feeling of self-worth, if you're exposed to all of that negative or even positive online imaging, it's going to make it hard for you as an individual to build yourself up. Because while I myself might think that I am a smart, I am a intelligent, I am a worthy individual, if we keep getting exposed to things online and throughout media and even at schools, we might lose that. And it's like, if you're not the smartest in the class sometimes, a lot of people feel that you're the dumbest in class, or it's finding that feeling of self-worth. And there's over 7 billion people on this planet, and I know that a lot of us are feeling sometimes that, why am I worth it? Or why is it worth putting all these resources into myself? Because as a person in North America, we're worth 10 or more people on the other side of the world. And a lot of times I've noticed, even my friends, we have a hard time justifying ourselves, our standard of living here, and stuff like that. And it's hard to find self-worth in ourselves. And I think everyone, even us as a society, face that issue of finding what it means to basically be human and be alive. And I think one solution to that is we have to tell each other that we're not alone and we care about each other. There's been a lot of research into what makes us happy or what makes life worth living. And the most famous one is the Harvard Grant Study, and it follows the lives of many Harvard graduates. And they've determined that what makes life worthwhile isn't how much money you're going to make. It doesn't matter your social status. It doesn't matter your class. They've determined that all happiness and worthwhile is love. And if we can somehow just spread the love to everyone in our community and tell them that you're not alone and that we care about you and the community loves you, I think that would be one thing that could really help out our youth, is to let them know that they're loved.
Excellent. Good points, please.
I also like to add, especially with that point, I think it's actually one of our biggest problems here in our community is that the youth suicide rate has skyrocketed in the last several years. And it's something that is so close to home for so many families here. So many families have lost their children during middle school and high school. And it is exactly because of those moments Justin's talking about, where we don't feel like we're good enough and that there's no self-love because everyone's constantly being aggressive towards the other and saying, look at my life's better than yours. And it's not about love anymore. And it's all about showing that other face to the world. And if we can just sit there and, as Justin said, spread the love a little bit and make an inclusive community, hopefully we can get rid of that one very serious issue.
Very good points. And these are very good thoughts, and this is exactly the reason we are here, because our youth are our future. And if we can think of the global community, and as you said, 7 billion people worldwide, unfortunately, 1/5 of them hungry at the moment. Unfortunately, 30,000 children dying per day without even being noticed, with unfortunately again health problems, social problems, economic problems. But if we feel we're a global community, and as you've highlighted, all of us are important, all children are important across cultures, all civilizations, they have to work together and they have to find out solutions to these problems. So very good points. And lastly, I would ask three of you if you have any message for the youth community. So beginning from Shayla, one by one, please.
No matter how small you think your effort is, and no matter how hard you think you might fall, the most important thing in life, especially at a young age, is making sure you get to do all the things you love. Making sure you aspire to be a poet, to be an artist, even when your parents tell you you're not going to make enough money. The important thing in life is to make the mistakes early, learn how to be happy with yourself, and then to go forward and have a happy life and share that with others.
Excellent. Justin, your message for the youth of the community.
I think it would be really important to keep in mind that it's the small things that show love that can be the greatest things. Just a smile, a high five, a friendly how are you, just even a small conversation with someone. That whatever you do, if it's putting a smile on someone's face, it's worth doing.
Good points. And conversation with Faisal. What's your message for the youth community?
To all the youth that we have in the city, always remember to learn how to listen. always be open and keep your minds and hearts open to everyone. And as always, stay respectful to everyone and take care.
Very good. And to end, Shayla, do you have a good quote here?
As Robin Williams says in my absolute favorite movie, Dead Poets Society, Carpe diem, make your life extraordinary.
Very good. And thank you, three of you, for being here, for your thoughts and for your community services and for being so thoughtful. The ideas you give, they help thousands of youth in the community. And then we will invite you again, so how youth can be supported further, how us as parents need to do a little better, the communication gaps which are there with technology and differences and all that. So these things, they help. Thank you once again, and it's very nice for three of you to have visited here.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
inviting me.
much.
Excellent.